public affairs segment, giving the masses a grasp of informative, educative, and entertaining updates on current issues while guiding them to follow the latest development in the society. In TV, a broader perspective.
The COVID-19 pandemic has created severe economic consequences for all countries around the world, Nigeria inclusive. For example, in some cases, the lockdown froze economic activities, which resulted in job losses as well as supply chain disruption. Government's response was swift. In a bid to respond to the impact of COVID-19 in Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, through the Economic Sustainability Committee, flagged off specific programs aimed at cushioning the impact of COVID-19 on MSME businesses. There are different criteria in applying for the scheme, but the big question now is, how many have accessed this portal?
About the 75 billion naira loan from the federal government, I've heard about it, but I've not clicked any link.
I've heard of Survival Fund before. I've registered for it, though I'm still waiting for the aspect of the registration.
I'm aware of the fund, and I actually saw the site and I clicked on it and I registered. Though even to register on the site is a bit very, at times you log in, it will not work.
I'm aware of the 75 billion naira grant from the government. I got to hear about it about a month plus ago, and I tried to apply, but I've not gotten any feedback from my application.
So basically for me, we need such funds, we need such initiative and intervention, but then the vehicle we're using to deliver it is what's the problem. 75 billion is quite a large sum of money with ability to do so much good for small businesses.
That COVID-19 pandemic has crippled so many sectors in the world. Today we want to look at the 75 billion naira survival fund by the federal government, and we have someone that is overseeing the committee, and she's going to tell us everything that we need to know about this, because in the process of packaging this report we come to realize that a lot of you have misconception about the scheme. Some of them don't believe, they say, in Nigeria you don't need to believe everything. But she is going to clear that out. The process is not really tedious as some people see it to be. So we have Ambassador Mariam Katagum. She is the Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment. Welcome, Your Excellency, to the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
All right. From your own perspective, you being the chairman of the committee of the scheme, I want you to tell us about the 75 billion naira survival fund from the federal government.
Thank you very much, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to explain issues surrounding the MSME Survival Fund. As you're all aware, at the beginning of the year, as a result of the loss that most countries incurred because of the low price of crude oil, the crash in the price of crude oil, many countries suffered economic shocks. And soon after came the COVID-19 pandemic. And immediately the pandemic set in, and you'd also recall that we've had to start thinking of how to amend the budget, because then the budget of the country was no longer sustainable, the 2020. So immediately mechanisms were put in place. And one of the things that His Excellency Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari did was to set up the Economic Sustainability Committee, chaired by the Vice President, in order to see how the country can survive, how the country can strengthen its economic base. And for any country, that economic base rests with the MSMEs. So it's not about oil, because as you are very much aware, we're moving away from the oil sector, going to non-oil. We're moving to agriculture, but MSMEs are the engines of growth in any economy. So this Economic Sustainability Committee came up with a plan, the Nigeria Economic Sustainability Plan, which has many components. And these components include solar, energy for houses, construction of houses, the digital economy, water, and so on and so forth. But the component that is the subject of our interview today is the MSME Survival Fund, which is a 75 billion Naira package. And it is a series of 5 schemes put together. And these schemes, and I will take time to explain each of the 5, but the main objective is to try and support the MSMEs, which, as I said, are the engines of growth, and to ensure that economic activity, production continues, and we reduce job losses, reduce or prevent job losses. So these 5 schemes, as I said, you have the guaranteed, MSME guaranteed payroll scheme, and by its very nature is to support payroll for a period of 3 months. And here we're looking at MSMEs that have a minimum of 3 staff, up to maybe a maximum of 50. The second track we have is the artisans and transport workers. For the artisans, if you recall, we launched it on the 1st of October. And actually for the payroll, we opened since the 21st. We've since closed, we're just processing. And very soon payments will start. But for the artisans, which was launched on the 1st of October, we have that section on the artisans, plumbers, mechanics, hairdressers, any type of artisan. You can go to the website or go to the enumerators. So the enumerators would help them. You have the option of registering. If you are an artisan, you can register through your association. We encourage registering through the association because we've made a provision for bulk registration. But if you feel, yes, you are a member of that association, but you don't feel maybe they will include you. You want to do it alone. So we kept about 20%. We said, anybody, members of the public, you are on your own, you want to register on your own, you can go ahead. But you have to provide some evidence, identity, the fact that you're working in that area. And we've started receiving live reports of individuals who have received their money through the bank.
From Odo State. I'm a tailor from Odo State. I received 30,000 from federal government for a survival fund. Thank you, federal government of Nigeria. I really appreciate this. God bless you.
This second stream actually started on the 26th. So we're giving them a window of 2 weeks, which will take us up to the 12th of November. And then we have the third and final stream, which should start from the 13th of November to the 27th. You know, thereafter, we will go into the transport sector. And in fact, we should kickstart the transport sector before we close the final stream. We're collaborating with the Ministry of Transport in order to identify credible associations. Mark you, we said we're leaving 20% for those who may not really belong to an association, but are bona fide members of the DSE. We're giving them payroll support for a period of 3 months. It depends. It could be 30,000, it could be up to 50,000. So it depends on what you were earning. For the payroll support, it is your organization or your entity that applies on your behalf. You are not applying directly.
So what happens to those youth that are not doing anything? They don't have a job, don't have any little business. What happens to them?
Now, you will find that along the line, in all these tracks, because this is MSME Survival Fund, we have some of the MSMEs that have not registered at all. You have some of them, they are young budding enterprises who are not even registered. So we have the CAC that has already commenced a registration of 250,000 businesses free of charge. It's 250,000 free of charge because the lack of registration hinders the growth of MSMEs, because if they are not formalized, they will fizzle out, because then they won't have access to credit, they won't have access to any form of intervention. So that is why it's very important, and we do realize there's quite a large number of MSMEs that are not registered. The fourth track is the general MSME grant. Under this, it's slightly following on the payroll support. Here we're saying that you have your enterprise, but you don't have enough staff. Maybe you're just one person, two people, three in your enterprise, and you need support. So you have determined by yourself that you're not qualified for the payroll support. So you can apply for a one-off MSME grant of 50,000 Naira. Then the last of the tracks is the guaranteed offtake scheme. Here we're looking at helping MSMEs that are producing, first of all, things in the health sector, for example, health and pharmaceuticals, face masks, hand sanitizers, disinfectants, soaps, and so on and so forth, and also in the food processing sector. In each part of the country, we have identified what food products are being processed and packaged. And what this component of the scheme is trying to do is to do a kind of offtake of those things that they're producing to help them continue to produce. So that is the last component, the guaranteed offtake.
In the process of carrying out this report, we interacted with some youth, and then they raised complaints that the process is tedious. Some of them said, I've done the first stage of registration, I'm waiting for notification so that I can proceed to the next stage. So can you take us through the process of registration to get this funds?
Now, there is a website that we've all publicized, which is www.survivalfund.ng. And most of the information that's required, once you get to the website, you get the information. But for the guaranteed offtake, because that is where I think this issue is coming up. For the guaranteed offtake, because of the large number of applications, and by the time we closed the the payroll support, that's where you're having the largest component. By the time we closed the applications, we had well over 670,000 applications. Now, we needed to do things systematically. It's not everybody who applies the first registration that is bona fide qualified. The second stage, that is when they were now asked to start uploading the relevant documents. The payroll, because you need to show us 3 months, at least any time during the COVID pandemic, that you're paying your staff. You upload the staff information, you upload the CAC registration, and so on and so forth. Our objective, one, is to make sure that as many beneficiaries, potential beneficiaries, as possible who are qualified are able to access this without having to say, I know X, Y, Z. So that is why we try to make it as transparent as possible.
All right, thank you very much, the Honorable Minister of State, for Industry, Trade and Investment for making out time to clear people's doubts on the scheme. And I believe nobody will have any reason to doubt this particular federal government scheme, because some person said I've lost interest in what comes out of the federal government. But with these, from the testimonies of people, I don't think they have any doubt again. So thank you very much for clearing the air with us.
Thank you.
This fund is expected to impact recipients largely, giving their businesses and enterprises the required boost, especially when properly managed from start to finish.
In TV, a broader perspective.